Welcome to A Year of War and Peace. I'm your host, Brian E. Denton. A Year of War and Peace is a daily, year-long, chapter-by-chapter reading of and meditation on Leo Tolstoy's epic novel, War and Peace. In these videos and podcasts, you'll be treated to a free reading of one chapter per day of the novel, plus a reflective essay I've written individually tailored to that day's chapter. These readings are offered for free, though if you'd like to support me, you can do so in one of three ways. First, you could purchase my ebook, A Year of War and Peace. It features the entire novel, plus all of my reflective essays, and it's only $2.99 on Amazon.com. You could also become a patron at patreon.com/Brian E. Denton. If you sign up there, you'll receive a sonnet once a month, plus a link to an ebook of my collected sonnets. Finally, if you like, you can make a one-time donation to my PayPal account. The email there is brianedenton@gmail.com. You can also use that email to contact me. I'd be happy to hear from you. Your support is greatly appreciated.
Today's reading and reflection is on Chapter 140. Chapter 140. When they all drove back from Pelega Danilovna's, Natasha, who always saw and noticed everything, arranged that she and Madame Schoss should go back in the sleigh with Dimmler, and Sonia and Nicholas and the maids. On the way back, Nicholas drove at a steady pace instead of racing, and kept peering by that fantastic, all-transforming light into Sonia's face, and searching beneath the eyebrows and mustache for his former and his present Sonia, from whom he had resolved never to be parted again. He looked, and recognizing in her both the old and the new Sonia, and being reminded by the smell of burnt cork of the sensation of her kiss, inhaled the frosty air with a full breast, and looking at the ground flying beneath him and at the sparkling sky, felt himself again in fairyland. "Sonia, it is well with thee?" he asked from time to time. "Yes," she replied. "And with thee?" When halfway home, Nicholas handed the reins to the coachman and ran for a moment to Natasha's sleigh and stood on its wing. "Natasha," he whispered in French, "do you know I have made up my mind about Sonia?" "Have you told her?" asked Natasha, suddenly beaming all over with joy. "Oh, how strange you are, with that mustache and those eyebrows. Natasha, are you glad?" "I'm so glad, so glad. I was beginning to be vexed with you. I did not tell you, but you have been treating her very badly. What a heart she has, Nicholas. I am horrid sometimes, but I was ashamed to be happy while Sonia was not," continued Natasha. "Now I am so glad. Well, run back to her." No, wait a bit." "How funny you look," cried Nicholas, peering into her face and finding in his sister, too, something new, unusual, and bewitchingly tender that he had not seen in her before. "Natasha, it's magical, isn't it?" "Yes," she replied. "You have done splendidly." "Had I seen her before as she is now," thought Nicholas, "I should long ago have asked her what to do, and have done whatever she would have told me, and all would have been well." "So you are glad and I have done right?" "Oh, quite right. I had a quarrel with Maman some time ago about it. Maman said she was angling for you. How could she say such a thing? I nearly stormed at Maman. I will never let anyone say anything bad about Sonia, for there is nothing but good in her." "Then it's all right," said Nicholas, again scrutinizing the expression of his sister's face to see if she still was in earnest. Then she jumped down, and, his boots scrunching the snow, ran back to his sleigh. The same happy, smiling Circassian, with mustache and beaming eyes, looking up from under a sable hood, was still sitting there, and that Circassian was Sonia, and that Sonia was certainly his happy future and loving wife. When they reached home and had told their mother how they had spent the evening at the Melikovs', the girls went to their bedroom. When they had undressed, but without washing off the cork and mustaches, they had sat a long time talking of their happiness. They talked of how they would live when they were married, how their husbands would be friends, and how happy they would be. On Natasha's table stood 2 looking-glasses, which Dunyasha had prepared beforehand. "When will all this be? I'm afraid never. It would be too good," said Natasha, rising and going to the looking-glasses. "Sit down, Natasha. Perhaps you'll see him," said Sonia. Natasha lit candles, one on each side of the looking-glasses, and sat down. "I see someone with a mustache," said Natasha, seeing her own face. "You mustn't laugh, miss," said Dunyasha. With Sonia's help and the maid's, Natasha got the glass she held into the right position opposite the other. Her face assumed a serious expression, and she sat silent. She sat a long time looking at the receding line of candles reflecting in the glass, and expecting, from the tale she had heard, to see a coffin, or him, Prince Andrew, and that last dim and distinctly outlined square. But ready as she was to take the smallest speck of the image for a man or a coffin, she saw nothing. She began blinking rapidly and moved away from the looking-glass. "Why is it others see things and I don't?" she said. "You sit down now, Sonia. You absolutely must, tonight. Do it for me. Today I feel so frightened." Sonia sat down before the glasses, got the right position, and began looking. "Now, Miss Sonia is sure to see something," whispered Dunyasha, "while you do nothing but laugh." Sonia heard this, and Natasha's whisper, "I know she will. She saw something last year." For about 3 minutes, all were silent. "Of course she will," whispered Natasha, but did not finish. Suddenly, Sonia pushed away the glass she was holding and covered her eyes with her hand. "Oh, Natasha," she cried. "Did you see? Did you? What was it?" exclaimed Natasha, holding up the looking-glass. Sonia hadn't seen anything. She was just wanting to blink and to get up when she heard Natasha say, "Of course she will." She did not wish to disappoint either Dunyasha or Natasha, but it was hard to sit still. She did not herself know how or why the exclamation escaped her when she covered her eyes. "You saw him?" urged Natasha, seizing her hand. "Yes. Wait a bit. I saw him," Sonia could not help saying, not yet knowing whom Natasha meant by him, Nicholas or Prince Andrew. "But why shouldn't I say I saw something? Others do see. Besides, who can tell whether I saw anything or not?" flashed through Sonia's mind. "Yes, I saw him," she said. "How? Standing or lying?" "No, I saw... At first there was nothing. Then I saw him lying down." "Andrew lying? Is he ill?" asked Natasha, her frightened eyes fixed on her friend. "No, on the contrary. His face was cheerful, and he turned to me." And when saying this, she herself fancied that she had really seen what she was describing. "Well then, Sonia?" "After that I could not make out where he was. There was something blue and red." "Sonia, when will he come back? When shall I see him? Oh God, how afraid I am for him, and for myself, and about everything," Natasha began. And without replying to Sonia's words of comfort, she got into bed, and long after her candle was out, lay open-eyed and motionless, gazing at the moonlight through the frosty window panes. All right, that concludes my reading of chapter 140. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll now proceed to my reflection on the same. A Year of War and Peace, day 140. Natasha in the Infinite Mirrors. Heathcliff, that lumpen Liverpudlian, really could have used a Yoda. Never was Heathcliff's mind on where he was or what he was doing. Instead, he relied on his unmindful passions to guide him. In his early days, he followed his future plans to marry Catherine Earnshaw. This led him to doom and despair when she married someone else and then later died. For the rest of Heathcliff's life, mired in the misanthropy born of the disappointment, he looked back in longing about what might have been. This lack of mindfulness bred constant misery for him. Though his misery offers us one of the great novels of world literature, it also culminates in Heathcliff's great lament, familiar to anyone acquainted with depression, or worse, a United States presidential election cycle. "Oh God, it is a long fight. I wish it were over." In today's reading, a similar, though less acute, torment plagues Natasha, as she dwells on her unalterable past and uncertain future. By chapter's end, she's entirely disconsolate and miserable. She doesn't have to be. The night is actually pretty nice. It begins with a beautiful, moon-glistening ride back home through the Russian countryside. In addition, she's returning from a fun night of Christmas mummery. Finally, important for anyone who values family happiness, her brother and her cousin are quite blissfully in love with each other. In short, it's the perfect setting for a nice, content, and comfortable night's sleep. Things quickly go south when she returns home and decides to play a game with Sonia, though. It's some sort of fortune-telling game. The idea is to place two mirrors in front of each other with a candle nearby. The candle supposedly lights the way down an ever-reflecting line of sight, eventually leading to an image of the future. It doesn't work for Natasha, but Sonia claims to see him. Natasha, of course, immediately thinks that him refers to Andrew. Sensing this, and wishing to encourage Natasha, Sonia says that she sees Andrew lying down happily. Unfortunately, Sonia's ploy doesn't work. Instead of heartening her friend, it only serves to plunge Natasha's thoughts about the future in the sad uncertainty of when Andrew will return to her. Preparing now for a thought-crazed and sleepless night, Natasha goes to her bed and stares out the frosty window at her moon. It's fitting that the window is frosted over, obscuring her view of the moon. The moon, after all, on the night she first met Prince Andrew, represented hope and optimism. Now, given her despair at their separation, the moon is much harder to see, just like the phantom vision at the end of her infinite mirrors. Natasha and Heathcliff, our anguished lovers, attempt to summon their beloved, and therefore their happiness, by means of some ridiculous supernatural contrivance. Heathcliff looks to his past, reaching desperately out from a bedroom window. Come in, he sobs, towards an apparition of his lost love. Natasha, attempting to divine her future, peers into an empty hall of mirrors, searching for her own lost apparition. This only leads to suffering for them, as the future is vapor that cannot be grasped, and the past is a letter that cannot be unsent. Daily meditation. Do not disturb thyself by thinking of the whole of thy life. Let not thy thoughts at once embrace all the various troubles which thou mayest expect to befall thee, but on every occasion ask thyself, what is there in this which is intolerable and past bearing? For thou wilt be ashamed to confess. In the next place, remember that neither the future nor the past pains thee, but only the present. But this is reduced to a very little, if thou only circumscribe it, and chidest thy mind, if it is unable to hold out against even this. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations. All right, so that concludes my reading and reflection on chapter 140. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much for listening. Remember that if you'd like to support me, you can do so either by purchasing the ebook, A Year of War and Peace, becoming a patron at patreon.com, or making a one-time donation at PayPal. The links to all that are below in the show notes. Tomorrow we're going to be reading and reflecting on chapter 141. I hope you join me. Until then, take care of yourselves and others.